We're going to boom like we've never boomed before.
The rapidly declining mental state of Trump is both dangerous, frightening, and I must admit, a curious insight into our nation's vulnerability.
A coal plant a week. I don't like flies. Get out of here, fly. Never been a big fan of flies. You don't mind my bringing that up, do you? Anyway, this is a very aggressive sucker, though. This one in particular is very aggressive. Like, I'm going to be aggressive for our country. You can probably say that.
He thinks he's a fly, and while that's a small picture, it's also a window into his burgeoning insanity.
In the White House, the press, the fake news media said, who is the most? He was the doctor for Obama, Bush, and Trump. That's pretty good, right? White House doctor for the three of us. He said, the press, who is the healthiest of the three? He said, definitely it's Donald Trump. There's not even a contest. And I love that guy. When he said that, JD, when he said that, I said, I like this guy.
Trump is old, and his cognitive function resembles someone trying to start an old car on a winter's morning. Remember after the debate when Trump said this?
They didn't correct her once, and they corrected me everything I said practically. And I think 9 times or 11 times. And the audience was absolutely, they went crazy.
There were no crowds at the debate. He said this 2 days after. Was he lying, mentally stumbling, or both?
The late, great Hannibal Lecter.
Trump rambles all the time, repeating himself again and again.
If you have a windmill anywhere near your house, congratulations. Your house just went down 75% in value. And they say the noise causes cancer. You told me that one, okay?
His thoughts are like Sunday morning beer farts. Some of them hard to understand, some of them incomplete, and all of them smell of decaying lies. His brain drifts.
By the way, they never report the crowd on January 6th. You know, Nikki Haley is in charge of security. We offered her 10,000 people. Soldiers, National Guard, whatever they want. Or Nikki Haley.
All of this should frighten you, unless you're one of those using this dotard to further your agenda.
And we did with Obama. We won an election that everyone said couldn't be won. Like a memory question. It's like you'll go person, woman, man, camera, TV. So they say, could you repeat that? So I said, yeah. So it's person, woman, man, camera, TV. If you wanted to do a movie, there's no actor in Hollywood that could play the role. There's nobody that could do it. These actors, you know, they're a little bit shaky. They can't play the role. They'll bring in a big actor and you look, you say, oh, he's got no muscle content. He's got no muscle. We need a little muscle. Then they bring in another one, but he's got a weak face. He looks weak. No, these guys have the whole package, unfortunately for our country. I watched one of them shouting at a judge, I kill you. I kill you when I get out. I kill you. And, you know, the judge is like, oh, he's never heard this stuff. And even the guards, you know, they want to look for a new job themselves. I kill you. But it's all because Kamala let these people in.
I don't want to talk about this stuff.
That, of course, is Johnny Donuts, whose mental illness is a lot more subtle, but nonetheless just as dangerous. Vance and his heritage buddies have a plan, and it doesn't involve Trump, who they secretly and not so secretly loathe.
I never liked him. As somebody who doesn't like Trump, I might have to hold my nose and vote for Hillary Clinton. I didn't vote for Trump because I can't stomach Trump. I think that he's noxious, him being really outrageous and offensive.
You see, there's two sides to Trump. There's the love coming from the MAGA crowd.
You know what? So what if he wants to grab pussy?
And the rest of the Republican Party, who will ride Trump like a circus elephant until he pays off. But even they can see his rising instability, and it's worrisome.
They're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets.
But they were wrong. Trump will not be defeated by these weak little incel boys in the GOP, the Lindsey Grahams, the Matt Gaetzes, the Paul Gosars, and most notably Ted Cruz. Remember, Trump was a huge backer of Mark Robinson until he wasn't.
And he's been an unbelievable Lieutenant Governor, Mark Robinson.
For me, there is no compromise on abortion.
I think you're better than Martin Luther King.
We could pass a bill say you can't have an abortion in North Carolina for any reason.
Abortion in this country, it's about killing a child because you aren't responsible enough to keep your skirt down.
See, Trump is a traitorous, backstabbing sociopath who's becoming more and more insane every day, and the polls are starting to reflect that.
Yeah, absolutely, Chris. A couple of interesting things here that go into this advantage for Harris in our poll.
And that freaks these guys out.
I just got back from vacation and noticed Kamala Harris has surged ahead of Trump in the polls.
Michael Moore is an uber progressive and a frequent critic of the Democratic policies who said this summer that Trump would beat Biden. But he's changed his opinion dramatically. He says now Trump is toast. And an aggregate of top polls as of today show that Harris will defeat Trump in the Electoral College. But we need more. We need to ensure that Trump loses in a landslide, because that's the only way to guarantee his permanent removal from the public eye. Now that's Michael Moore, but that's also Liz Cheney.
I say this to my Republican colleagues who are defending the indefensible. There will come a day when Donald Trump is gone, but your dishonor will remain.
And that unlikely pair shows you what's happening in America right now. Trump owns the American male who didn't finish college, hates gay marriage, and brown and black people. And that's a lot of Americans. And no one will change their minds, nor does Vance and company want them to. If Trump wins, his mental implosion will end him before his term is up. And Vance and company will be ready to step in. Now, if you think I'm being hard on Vance, he said this out loud.
By a bunch of childless cat ladies who are miserable at their own lives and the choices that they've made, and so they want to make the rest of the country miserable too.
And he not only threw Trump's junior high diploma base a bone when he attacked education.
The professors are the enemy. So much of what we want to do in this movement and in this country, I think, are fundamentally dependent on going through a set of very hostile institutions, specifically the universities, which control the knowledge in our society, which control what we call truth and what we call falsity. We have to honestly and aggressively attack the universities in this country.
But Vance and company also kiss the ass of evangelicals who want to end abortion, the teaching of evolution, and create a Christian theocracy.
Some will say now that I am calling America a Christian nation. And so I am. And some will say that I am advocating Christian nationalism. And so I do.
Now, Vance and company know that Trump's support is strong, so they can't force him out of office. Although I did find it unusual that it was a MAGA supporter who shot at Trump. Never mind. If Trump doesn't die in office, how would they remove him? How hard would that be?
In some ways, vice presidents are like understudies. You may never need them to step into the breach, but they're there just in case something goes wrong. So I want you to consider the following. Donald Trump, who's currently 78 years old and regularly frequents McDonald's and loves his Diet Cokes, would end his second term as the oldest person ever to serve as president of the United States. In fact, he'd be 82 years, 7 months, and 6 days when his term would end in January of 2029. But Trump refuses to release even the most basic information about his health. Kind of makes you wonder, what's he hiding? And not to mention his rambling, meandering speeches have led to mental health experts going on the record concerned about potential cognitive decline. Trump's history of shocking gaffes and outbursts suggests that things are just going to go even further downhill from here. So what happens if Donald Trump dies or becomes incapacitated and can no longer serve as president? Section 1 of the 25th Amendment states that in that event, the vice president becomes the president automatically. So I'm going to state it plainly. J.D. Vance is a heartbeat away from the presidency of the United States.
The problem with America is that it's an ideal that depends on a lot of trust. For example, when George Washington quit after 2 terms, it was taken on good faith that all presidents would act in accordance with that custom, until Roosevelt didn't. So we amended the Constitution. And take currency. While most people, and especially Trump, don't understand crypto, they do trust cash, even though it's just a piece of paper. And that same premise applies to what Americans think they know. When a Trump supporter calls Harris a communist or socialist or a fascist, ask them to define each one and then ask them who's trying to do this.
The federal oath of office now requires declaring loyalty to the president, not the Constitution.
Trump is losing his mind, and the new Republican Party knows it. And Trump supporters are about to get double-crossed by their own leaders, who will use Trump until there is no Trump. And then they'll name a city after him. Meanwhile, Trump thinks he's a fly.
I don't like flies.
I don't want to talk about this stuff.
I'm ready. Let's go.
Goddamn right.
It's not fair. This isn't their Republican Party anymore.
Who's with me?
Am I wrong?
Yes.
Tick tock.
You're in a lot of trouble, Donnie.
I think he's crazy.
I'm Chip Franklin.